I haven't clicked it yet. Uh-oh, I dropped it. Oh no. I don't know what I've changed 7 or 8 settings by having dropped my phone onto my keyboard. Obi-Wan lightsaber set, $550. Oh my god, why?
So it looks like you've got
3 sabers. That's why.
It's weird though, because but like you've got an Obi-Wan, you've got an Obi-Wan from Phantom Menace, and then why does it look like you have kind of like Luke's maybe? But why would
this?
So they all Kenobis? Like, oh, because he just slightly changed his from Attack of the Clones to.
I've got a higher resolution picture here now, and it's definitely not Luke's in the middle there.
Yeah,
it's very close to Luke's.
Well, that's what it is then. It's just like, oh, here's the one from Attack of the Clones, and here's the one from Revenge of the Sith, and it doesn't matter because it's just barely different.
Or is it Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and then...
Well, Phantom Menace is the first one.
Well, no, I know, but the last one looks like the one he had in the Kenobi show.
Oh, okay, so it's a little more...
So I think the one in the middle is from the movies, and then by the time he has the Kenobi show, it's all destroyed and old looking.
Be nice if they put up an easy article to read. That'd be really, really helpful.
I want to know more about this Darth Revan lightsaber.
Oh, that one already exists in, well, not in the parks, but it exists as part of the Black series. It changes colors. It goes red and purple. Have you not seen that one yet?
But I want the parks ones.
I mean, this one's pretty top tier.
It's not made out of metal.
I think it has removable blade too. You know, it's made out of metal because it's Black series.
$278.
I mean, they're good. Like I said, they have removable blades, if I remember correctly. It has a lot of good features. It color changes between purple and red. It comes with a base.
How do you even hold this?
I mean, what's up?
How do you even hold this?
With your hand.
Around what part?
The hilt? Okay. I mean, it's pokey, but that's Revan. He's like, no, feel the pain.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's no good place to grab it.
Yeah, well, that's why he was so back and forth. Like, no, the good side, the dark side. It hurts my hand. Ooh, what Lego set is that?
Which one?
Is that the It's sideways in your thing. Yeah, that one right there.
That's the Naboo Starfighter.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Nice. It comes with a BD-1 droid, or BD droid, I should say.
Why do you think I bought it?
Well, I thought you would have got the other, because the BD one also comes with the bigger BD droid, too. It's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, buddy.
Oh, nice. Very cool. I'm looking at that, and I keep thinking, like, I'd like it, but now I'm like, I just want to go to Bricklink and buy a bunch of the different pieces I need, but do it in, like, blue and gray. Or like a different color scheme.
Yep.
Because he looks great, but I'm like, everyone's going to have that BD unit. I want my own BD unit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not that it's bad. It's just, that's one thing I like about Legos. I can just make my own.
Yeah, that is the best part about Legos, right? Because you could just go online and be like, give me all these parts, but in red.
Yeah.
Andy, I should have taken a picture. I thought of you yesterday at D23 when walking around. There was a 3 foot tall Lego model of socks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I bought you 2 minutes.
I need to watch that.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, everybody really likes it. She saw it with the girls and stuff, and I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet. I mean, I hadn't had a chance, but I mean, we all know how the Nerd Queue works, and yeah, I haven't had the chance, but I've finished all of Cobra Kai.
Sure, yeah.
It's just a trade-off, because it's like, okay, we're all married, so it's like, okay, what can we watch alone? What can we watch with our partners? What can we watch, in the background while we fold clothes? And there are different tiers. We talked about this in other podcasts. Like, what's the priority?
I feel like it's not that high of a priority movie, but it is good. I saw it because the kid wanted to go see it, and so we went and saw it, and then I was like, oh, it's good. But I was surprised because I figured Ebony would have wanted to see it, and so you would have seen it. So
yeah, she saw it, and then she's like, oh, we got to watch it. I'm like, all right. I mean, at some point, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah,
so
it's worth watching. There's a few good twists and turns.
And unlike
plus you love
HBO
cats.
Max, they're not just pulling shit.
Oh, speaking of HBO, Michael, you have not seen the Batman yet?
No, not yet.
Oh well, I can't get into a fight with Ken.
I mean, you can, but you gotta be really specific about. No, that's fine. We can discuss it another time. He can enjoy it and then come back to us and be like, "Oh, this is how I feel about it." And we look, that's a feeling, and we have feelings too.
All people have feelings, even if they're not good ones. Okay. We were just talking about video games before your microphone fixed itself. Like T1000 reformed into a different microphone. And what are you drinking? Oh, of course, it's a Mountain Dew.
You have to ask?
I know.
I don't have to ask. Yeah. Are you feeling well? Are you recovered?
No, I'm not recovered, but I am as mobile as I can be. Thanks to friends and stuff. I have ice packs and crutches, so I'm a semi-viable human being, and I can still do work at a desk as such. Although that's a different scenario too, and it is what it is. It's funny. I was looking at a tweet today where it's like, oh, people talk about how good she looks for 40. It's like 40's not that old, and I'm like, it is. I'm decrepit. I admit it. Like this isn't a claim on anyone else. They're as young as they want to feel, but at 40, I feel like I'm dying every day a little bit more, and it's true. So, yeah.
I mean, in so much as the world has gone around again. I heard a funny anecdote. I don't know, Michael, if you heard about this, that the Earth is slowly orbiting slower.
Orbiting the sun slower?
Basically, I think, it has to do with the rotation is slowing or orbiting the sun slower. I don't remember which of the two. But basically, like, without knowing it, they're doing like leap seconds in time because
so I knew about that to adjust.
Yeah, because we're slowly adjusted. So you at age 40, Ken, are older? I don't know. How does that work? Than your parent? Because over time has disappeared as you've gotten older. Think about that.
I mean, I guess that also goes to the argument of people saying like there's no such, you can't make a perpetual motion machine, and the Earth is just another you can't continually maintain that same rate of rotation no matter what because something, I don't know, smarter than people than I have apparently found that out.
It seems weird because there's not drag in space, so I don't know what'd be slowing us down.
Yeah, I don't know which part of it is slowing. It might just be that you were slowly expanding, like the universe is expanding, right? And
yes, I am expanding. That's a different discussion, though, and I don't appreciate
my universe is expanded all the way to the edge of this desk in front of me.
We'll start a club. How's that?
Yeah. Well, there's my leap seconds right there. It leaped into my mouth, and I ate it. Oh boy. We should start a podcast at some point.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whatever. It's Monday night. I didn't sleep very well.
What's got you awake?
I don't know. I don't get into all that. I have a pad of paper next to my bed. 40-year-olds, take note. Put a pad of paper next to your bed, not your phone, so that in the middle of the night when you wake up in a cold sweat because you forgot to order something on Amazon that you need tomorrow, write it down because it won't ship in time anyway, and deal with it in the morning.
Good plan.
Fair enough. I don't know. I'm curious how cognitive I am to write anything down. And I remember.
Oh,
It'll just be like warbly bobs of words.
50-50 if you can read it the next morning. I remember them talking about who is it? Is it Aerosmith? Steven Tyler, I think.
Yeah.
That wrote a lot of songs in his dream journal in the middle of the night, and then they showed pictures of it and it was like just scrawling chicken scratch that wasn't actually what it was like. I don't know what you wrote here, but hey.
I mean, yeah. It worked for him. I mean, can't judge him. Like
yeah, he would write. I think it was Steve. Write into podcast@wewergamers.com if you know what musician I'm talking about, because I think it was Steven Tyler.
Yeah, Mr. Tyler, Steve, our buddy.
One of them would intentionally try to fall asleep and then would write songs that way. I don't remember who it was. Anyway. Yes, you can't read them half the time. That's the point. And that's what your brain's doing to you. It's just scrambling you up. But last night I couldn't sleep because, Ken, I had a lot of questions about Spider-Man.
With Spider-Man. So we're not going to touch on. Oh wait, I was trying because I'm trying to remember where you are.
Oh, okay.
In your journey.
We're both going to have to lay it out, and we're both going to have to start a podcast here. So let's do it. Welcome to We Were Gamers, episode 326. Michael's still here for some reason. He hasn't quit on us yet.
I am still going, like that bunny with the battery.
And JJ is on well-earned sabbatical, enjoying every minute
Pickling
of it.
himself.
Yes, the pictures are quite nice, and jealousy ensues. We'll miss him, but today to answer all things Marvel, buddy, you're back. Hey Ken, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing adequately.
You're doing adequately.
As best as can be considered.
Yes,
yeah,
you know the Wong didn't put the portal in the right place. You dropped from about 20 feet up, but you're here.
Yeah.
Wongers. That's a
friend of mine dressed up as Wong for an Oogie Boogie Bash at Disneyland, and he wasn't caught up, and everyone's like, "Hey, Wongers," and he's like,
why is everybody calling me Wongers?
Yeah. So after like the third or fourth time, he's like, he had to like look it up. He's like, like it sucks, but here we are. Like, it's weird to be like, oh hey, random individuals will be like spoiling comic book stuff for you on the fly, and you're like, what? No, this isn't. No one's walking up to me and tell me how Spider-Man got the symbiote from the Secret Wars crossover. Like, what? Yeah.
You know,
here we are.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to talk about that symbiote, aren't we? We're gonna.
Oh God, that is. Oh man,
it's there. It's part of the universe now.
Mm-hmm.
After credit scenes count as canon, as the scrolls will teach you.
Yeah, and oh man, and we need to set down some ideas of where you are, because I need to know your cutoff for knowledge.
Okay,
because it's like. And also, like, do we talk about comic book information and how that bleeds over into...
Okay, Michael needs to weigh in on that one. But, Michael, lay out for us either where you are or what you're missing in current Marvel canon, whichever's easier.
Okay, so I have not seen Multiverse of Madness and Thor Love and Thunder. And then I haven't seen, I guess on the TV side, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk.
Okay. Not the worst. He won't get the Wongers reference.
No.
I am still slightly behind Miss Marvel on the TV side and Thor Love and Thunder on the movie side only. And Morbius. I haven't seen Morbius yet.
That's
it's Morbin
although
time.
It's available on Netflix, which is I saw Ken, there is a part of me that is curious, but there's also a part of me that's like, you have so many better things to do with your time.
You're curious and I'm curious. We both gotta know.
You guys could stream it together.
Yeah. This is where I need a drink. And then we just do our own Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of that, because it's just like, oh my goodness.
It's getting harder to find Not Your Father's Root Beer, so we better do it soon.
Well, there's also not your dad's mountain ale too. So we can still.
No.
Although it's not Comic-Con, so my rule still stays. So I'm okay.
Okay, fair point. Okay, so Miss Marvel's out. I think thankfully that doesn't hurt us very much in the continuity discussion. Unfortunately, Multiverse of Madness doesn't. It also doesn't help that much.
It might leave so it could leave. I'm trying to like roll back stuff in my head. I'm sure it'll pop up better as we go. There could be some lingering questions that may have answers in that, but I think we're good for the most part.
Yeah.
And then like Moon Knight doesn't really have too much bleed over.
Okay.
There's a little thing from the comics that can kind of affect some stories.
Well, that
in context,
okay, so that we didn't
really
discuss that.
Yeah.
We didn't discuss that. Michael, how do you feel about comic book spoilers for movies?
I'm fine with that if it's from the comic books.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not gonna bother me.
It doesn't bother you. All right. Do you feel like you missed out and you need to stop this podcast and we all should go watch Venom 1 and 2 real quick?
Oh God.
I don't know if missed out is the word that I
Yeah.
Oh, come on. We're thinking about watching Morbius. You can't look.
Oh, I wasn't.
Ken. You have to here's it's like your own version of you're stuck on a desert island, except that for you're hanging over the edge of the Daily Bugle, and you could either drop off, watch Morbius, or watch Venom another time.
I guess, I mean, as of right now, I'd watch Morbius because at least I haven't seen that. Or if I was given the choice to watch Venom 2, Electric Boogaloo, I'd maybe watch that one. I haven't seen either Morbius or Venom 2.
Oh, okay.
So, and
Venom,
again,
Venom 2...
The Morbius will probably happen first because it's more readily available. Like, it's on Netflix. I can just...
Venom 2 is... Okay, so I don't know, Michael, if you've been part of this conversation before with the Venom and Ken.
No, I have not.
We're gonna call it the Kenem prophecy. He's not a fan of the movies, nor the character. It seems either.
My problem with Venom currently is more the hot topicness of him, of like the same as like Deadpool and Harley Quinn, where it's just like all the little edgelord kids who are just like, oh yeah, man, I love Venom, I love Deadpool, I love Venompool when Venom takes the Deadpool symbiote. Like just there's so many more stories to tell. It's like the same kids who are just like, oh, the Joker's the best Batman villain. He's just the best. It's like he's a good Batman villain. He's one of the best ones, but there's many others that are far more dynamic and have like there's better stories there.
I think if you ranked him, you'd have to put Joker at the top just because he's been in so many stories is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on that context, yes. As far as a good opposite number to him, I think Ra's al Ghul would be one that I would probably could wedge in there above him.
Oh, I would agree with it.
Yeah.
I would agree with it from I enjoy it more.
Yeah, but again, this isn't necessarily to say that he's not a good character. It's just I get tired of certain demographics of fanboys that are just like, oh, how do I get this? I need to get this Joker comic because he's just like me, man. The society doesn't get him. It's like, no, you are a horrible little incel. Like, yeah,
you're upset at the newest film, is what you're saying.
The newest film and the culture that it kind of like treads in, I guess is the best way to put it.
I see.
I'm fine with the Joker in a lot of different ways. It's just like burnout, like just like with Wolverine, where it's like at some point you kind of go like, okay, I've read enough Wolverine. Let's read something else. Like, give me X-Man. Let's see what Nate Gray is doing now. Like,
I mean, I think they burned the entire society out of Wolverine with all those movies.
I mean, you'd think that, but like people are just like, I can't wait till he gets in the MCU. I mean, people are still just like rabid.
I don't know that works. I don't think they saw Logan.
I think even if they saw Logan, we still have. We've all seen Loki, so we can discuss that they at least have opened the door to the multiverse,
right?
And we are aware that Doctor Strange is called the Multiverse of Madness, and we're aware that there are.
Don't step on Multiverse of Madness though, because
I'm just saying it's called that, so it's like. Yeah, the term in there is Multiverse of Madness. So we have expanded our idea that there is the potential for different branches, and that's more from Loki than anything. So I think I'm still safe in this kind of discussion.
Yeah.
So the idea that we could get an opportunity to see some version of Wolverine, and we know that Kevin Feige at D23 and at Comic-Con has discussed like, oh, we're in phase 6. We can talk about what's in the phases, right? Like what's on the docket,
the roadmap.
Yeah, the roadmap. Thank you. Oh, and you were at D23, so it's like you're at least aware of the roadmap. So I'm not spoiling too much. Like, oh, we hope to do FF and we plan to do X-Men. Like,
oh, they got the licenses. There. You gotta assume they bought them for a reason.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there is always that potential. If they execute it well is the question. That's where the you know, where you're like, okay, is this going to be an Eternals or is it going to be Ant-Man? Where it's like, oh, it's better than I expected, and I really enjoyed this because it was kind of out of left field. And I think Ant-Man was a point at which a lot of fans were like, oh, maybe this could be like, it's Ant-Man. Who cares about Ant-Man? But it turned out to be really fun. It's a great little heist film, and so it goes. It's like a little underdog, and so like how will the X-Men come in? How will the FF come in? We'll have to wait and see.
I watched Deadpool over the weekend because I'd never seen it, and you bringing up Ant-Man makes me wonder if people were more interested in the attitude that Ant-Man gave because it was not irreverent in the sense of the R-ness of Deadpool, but much more the beginning of maybe these characters should be a little lighter. I mean, I don't know if you remember like Thor and Thor 2 and how Thor used to be, and I haven't seen Love and Thunder, but you know, I mean, by Thor Ragnarok, it's joke o'clock, man.
Yeah, you saw Ragnarok, so you know the theme that they're going with. And yeah, I mean, it's because they saw that. I mean, I believe if maybe it's more hearsay or apocryphal, but it's like, so Chris Hemsworth heard Kevin Smith saying like, oh, you know, Hemsworth has the potential for comedy, they should lean into that. And then so Hemsworth went to them and said, hey, can we do something with my character, because he's just not hitting the way he wants him to. And that's how they got to Ragnarok, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked it.
I had a great.
The impetus for tonight was before watching Multiverse of Madness and before watching Deadpool, because I felt like, well, we're headed that direction with the X-Men and the multiverse and all this sort of stuff. That is not a spoiler, Michael. Deadpool is not in Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, all my hopes.
I'm so sorry. I guess it's a spoiler to have told you he wasn't in Multiverse of Madness, but
sort of.
R-rated crossover probably not gonna happen. Forgetting Deadpool because it's not really part of the conversation. The other movie that we really congregated to talk about today was Michael and I recently both somehow unwittingly at the same time watched Spider-Man No Way Home.
For the first time.
For the first time. Yes.
For the first time in forever.
On both
for the first time in this timeline.
There you go.
Yeah, other me's may have watched it already. Oh man, I was gonna make another joke that I can't make. I can't. Whoops.
It's also interesting because I know you in particular went through because you hadn't seen Amazing Spider-Man and you hadn't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2, if memory serves correct, right?
Right.
Like you just you're like, they fell off your radar for a while, and you took the opportunity to be like, oh well, I hear all this hype, I should probably get this through line built so that I know what's going to happen.
It was impossible.
So I'm better informed.
It was impossible to miss, unfortunately, for one who desires no spoilers.
Yeah.
These days, that you should probably watch all those other Spider-Man movies, if you haven't. And I was like, well, it's been
a while.
17 years since I saw Tobey Maguire act as Spider-Man, and I never saw Andrew Garfield act as Spider-Man. So I didn't. Yeah. So we watched them all in a through line. Right. This has been a project that's been ongoing of catching up on Marvel. We started on Iron Man. Actually, no. Did we start on Hulk?
No, you should have started on Iron Man.
Iron Man and then
Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk, not Eric Bana Hulk. which actually was
leave out the
cursed.
Ong Lee Hulk for the time.
For now. Anything's possible.
Yep.
There's a really good joke in She-Hulk about that, Michael.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just teasing him now. You're like,
just enjoy that when you get there. Okay. No Way Home. Yeah. So this project of watching everything starting with Iron Man, we got to Far From Home, and we were like, oh, we should probably watch all these other Spider-Man movies too, if we're gonna do this the right way. We rewatched.
oh, right. Okay.
Rewatched all those. Rewatched all those. Watched Far From Home, and then watched No Way Home. Michael, you still have not seen any of the Andrew Garfield movies?
This is correct. Seen all the Tobey Maguire movies. It's what we were talking about earlier, Ken. They get put on the list. You have to make the trade off somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, and that's fair. I mean, I guess if we're at this point though, you're okay with us spoiling some of
those are fair game.
I told him that he may want to go back and watch the second one of the Andrew Garfields, because I think of all the current Spider-Man movies available, and this is maybe Ken should weigh in on this. I think I should say this again last week, didn't I, Michael?
Yes.
I think this isn't really a spoiler because you know about Electro. I think starting just before, during, and after the Electro fight in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is some of the best acting in all of the Spider-Man movies. When Andrew Garfield just sort of gets to let loose. And then I think Far From Home is really good also. Like in terms of just letting an actor play a character instead of worrying about what the character is. Which I think is the Tobey Maguire issue a lot of people have.
Their issue with Tobey is what?
That he's playing to what they wrote too much instead of just letting the actor bring stuff to it. Right? So when Andrew Garfield's losing his mind because of what Gwen is doing, he gets to lose his mind rather than be Peter Parker. Versus Tobey Maguire's got to be mousy Peter Parker all the time.
I could argue, and that I'm sorry don't mean to hedge expectations or anything for you, Michael, but I feel in my heart of hearts that Tobey Maguire is a bland, boring actor. Oh. He is my least favorite thing about the Spider-Man films. He is what makes me dislike them, which is unfortunate because Sam Raimi, the storytelling in Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 is the stories themselves are better than the story in Amazing, but the Peter Parker and especially the Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy dynamic is so much better than the Peter Parker and Mary Jane dynamic that it's like they're like, well, you're gonna get the story of Dr. Octopus, which is really great in Spider-Man 2, but like it's still against this bland milquetoast Tobey Maguire Peter Parker, and he's so boring to me, and he's not cracking jokes, and like I'm sorry, to me that's one of those core, like when you're like, okay, well what are the bullet points we have to have for Spider-Man? Okay, so he can do whatever Spider can. He's really sarcastic when he's in the costume, and when he's Peter Parker, he's either like he's restrained and he doesn't feel like himself, and that's what the costume gives him. That's not Toby. Toby's just like, I'm just Spider-Man all the time. I'm just sad. Like I don't care for Tobey Maguire, and that affects my enjoyment of those original 3 films. Whereas with the Amazing stuff, he does a great job in my opinion. And also, I think you also do get some other actors in there that I think really reach for it. Like I really like Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben. Like,
oh yeah, Martin Sheen's a great Uncle Ben.
I get Jed Bartlett as my Uncle Ben. Like this is.
Well, he's a very different Uncle Ben than the one from the first movies, Michael. I don't know that he's really rewritten, but they just were like. So, like, what's a real version of a human being that gives lots of advice? instead of a comic book version of a human being that gives lots of good advice. It was like, what was my grandpa like? Let's just write that down. It's like, oh, yeah, this is a real person that cared about the person they're talking to, instead of just being, teleprompter. And no offense to the original. I am not as effusive about Sam Raimi as the director. I think he's fine, but like Multiverse of Madness was a little janky, dude. It was a little. When your wife's sitting next to you and she goes, because we had just watched all those Spider-Man movies, she goes, "Did Sam Raimi direct this?" You're a director with a particular style. My point still stands, according to that statement that you made where you said you were hedging his expectations. Andrew Garfield does better. I just thought that if he was limited on time and had to skip one, the first one could be skipped of the Andrew Garfield movies. You don't gain anything.
I disagree. The Gwen Stacy Spider-Man or Peter Parker story is strong enough that, I mean, if you want to skip scenes, I'm okay with that. But I think that
you would miss out on Dennis Leary. Yeah.
There's that.
Miss out on Dennis Leary. I wonder if someone's done the cut, because I think between the two movies, you could literally get down to about 5 minutes of what you need to know about his parents.
Oh yeah, that's where like also there's so much additional storytelling that just feels to me like meddling from Avi Arad and Sony of just like, well, we've got to get to the Spider-Man 6. We do the Sinister 6 next. That's going to be all the monies. Like that was where
you mean the Sinister 5 because we made an oopsie.
Yeah, exactly. Like they couldn't get it out, and I'm sure that there was a cut line at some point where like, okay, I'm like in my head, I'm like, wait, did we everyone watch that movie? Okay, yeah. So we're
good. We should actually talk about the movie we came here to talk about.
Where Green Goblin's like, no, you're one of us, and he's like, we're the Sinister Six with you. Yeah, like that's what I mean, spoilers for the comics in the Ultimates. That's what Osborn was trying to do. He's like, no, I've collected them all here, and you're with us now, and it's out of blackmail. And he's like, we're the Sinister Six, and I thought they were leaning towards that, and I feel like there's probably some scene on a cutting room floor of like, it just doesn't make a sense. And like, yeah, it's fair, but I don't know. They were like, we couldn't get the Vulture back because we threw him over into Morbius, apparently.
Couldn't get Vulture back because you threw him in Morbius. Couldn't get Mysterio back because you oopsied him before your movie with the Sinister Six. Yeah.
Yep. Where was Kraven the Hunter?
He's off in his own Sony movie that's coming around the corner because Sony's dumb, and they're like, well, we're going to make this work. Get ready for the Madam Web movie because you want to see an old woman be a superhero. Like, I don't. I hate Sony so much sometimes.
And yet they just meter out exactly what you hope for every little once in a while.
Yeah, well, they also put out like Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm like, damn you, brilliant bastards! But that's when I'm like, oh no, I feel like that's more the creative people behind the scenes were able to push their vision and not just the studio mandates of like, get ready for these sequels. Like, no, we have a story to tell. There's something here.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's from Ken's point of view.
Ken.
Yes.
Was there a good reason to not push the magic button?
The reason to not push the magic button was because Peter wanted to be better. And he's like, no, I think I can save them. And then once everything goes to hell, I think once everything goes to hell, Peter can't face speaking with MJ and speaking with Ned because he's so in shock and mourning. And that's why he's just up on the roof. And that's why he didn't reach out to some of them and text them, say, hit the button, send them all back to their doom. I don't care anymore. He was emotionally shook and dealing with the loss of Aunt May.
Do you think that when someone promises that if they don't hear from you, they're going to push the button, and then they don't push the button?
I mean, did you actually think that they would push the button?
just no. I mean, because the other Spider-Men had not shown up, so you knew they couldn't push the button, which means it's a bad button. Because if you can't push the button, why have it?
Because it allows us to have later on we get to blow it up, and then like, oh no, now if I finish the spell, it all goes back and erases you, Peter, from people's memories, but not from. There's so much janky, like we just don't, like, hand wavy, don't think about it moments in Spider-Man No Way Home that I hate, because it's just like, well, by the end of the movie, Spider-Man can't be in the Marvel MCU anymore because our deal with Sony's run dry. So after this, we can't have him in here anymore. So how do we just put him out, send him out on a big, lush goodbye, and then we pick it up later on once we've maybe made a deal with Sony again? Because it all came down to that. That was the end of it. Just like, how do we sign off on him and kind of like just kind of close that book, put it on the shelf, and wait till we can come back to it later, and not have to talk, like, not in the most best way possible. And then Doctor Strange is like, I've got an idea, and I don't like the logic of it. I feel like there's got to be a better way, but also they're not.
I've got a question I can't ask you because it's from She-Hulk. But the memory thing seems to be a little bit fast and loose. And there's a lot of questions about the memory thing when you get to people standing next to each other. Like, I don't know if this bothered anybody else. Feel free to weigh in. But you've got Happy standing next to Peter at Aunt May's grave at the end of the film. And clearly Happy still knows who Spider-Man is.
Right. And knows who Aunt May was. Who knew who May Parker was. But doesn't. And yeah, and then also,
so he could go to Happy as Spider-Man, take off his mask, and Happy would still be like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, that's what.
You're impersonating that Spider Kid. What are you doing?
Yeah,
no one could see because this is an audible medium. But yeah, it is so wrong. Like, make everyone the better logic is make everyone forget Spider-Man. Make everyone forget Spider-Man and just let him continue to be Peter Parker. Because then the MCU goes forward and people forgot about Spider-Man. He's gone. Like, they don't talk about him anymore, because that way you don't have to worry about it. Like, there's no like weird goofy logic of like, wait, so the spell teleported people from other realities who knew who Peter Parker were to this reality.
I have a question about
other
that.
People, like Mary Jane, that's with the youth pastor Spider-Man, and also, even after they've died. So Gwen Stacy could have been brought back, and also a bunch of also Captain Stacy, just so many people can be brought back to this reality because they know who Peter Parker is. You know what? Also, I know who Peter Parker is. Why wasn't I teleported in the movie? There's another question for you. It's such a weird, this is the way.
Was I mistaken, or did Doctor Strange not say that it was people who knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yes.
But
that was
Rhino doesn't know that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and he's in the rift of people that are coming.
Also, neither does Electro.
Electro does not know that Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Yeah. And Sandman did, but yeah, Electro didn't, and that's another thing that bothered me. It's like, so you're just kind of just like, he didn't know who he was, but they brought him in because they're like, well, we want to redeem the Jamie Foxx previous version of Electro, so we're trying to get to like enough villains here to make the Sinister Six. So it's also so dumb.
Didn't bring back Harry Osborn.
Didn't bring back either of the Harry Osborns, because there's ones in both in Amazing and in Youth Pastor Spider-Man's world.
Yep.
By the way, Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Also, everyone in that universe knows that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. All of them could have come over. Peter B. Parker, just these saying like, oh, those who knew. It's like there are thousands upon thousands of, again, to my point, I know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Why wasn't I in the movie? Like, you've got to give me something better than just like, it's because they. And then to give me the faulty logic. Also, by the way, Venom, who is in an after credit scene,
does not know that
we touched on this.
Spider-Man is, because he doesn't even know that there is a Spider-Man. But then if you watch Venom 2,
okay,
there's an after credit scene.
Yeah.
where they discuss like, symbiotes have a hive mind across the multiverse.
Well, I think in
Venom.
Venom 2 there's also a hint that there's a guy in New York that's swinging around on webs, and Eddie's like, well, that's weird, I left New York and there was no guy swinging around on webs. But it still doesn't mean that he knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Right. And
can I still say I laughed the hardest at that part of the movie when it's just Eddie Brock in a bar being like, wait, so
what happened?
What happened in this universe? Like, it just keeps going. Tom Hardy is so perfect for that.
And the bartender did a good job too. He's like, and then so Man in Iron died. And he's like, the bartender's like he's doing his rosary for Iron Man. Like, that's all. Like, that's a good little just acting choice that's like thrown in there. Like, I appreciate that. That's a fun moment. It made me laugh, even if I hate the logic behind it. It's behind the scene. I still enjoyed that moment.
The logic behind so what sucks about this is it's fun and good, and you have to just throw out the premise of the whole movie to enjoy it.
Yeah, you have to turn off. It's one of those movies they turned it into a Michael Bay film where it's like, if you turn off your brain, you're really gonna enjoy this. It's like, okay, I guess I have to turn off my brain and not think that, like, Doctor Strange is the one who's responsible. He's like, go do all this, kid, and he's like, this is you did the spell wrong. And also, because like when he comes to him, he's like, oh, I need help, and he's like, oh, he has to rewrite the spell 5 times. Like, no, you stop doing the spell and you go, okay, who do you want to remember? Let's just do that. And just also, like, everyone forgets that there's Spider-Man, but that means also, like, the young Flash Thompson's book is gone. It's no longer in existence because that didn't happen. Just you rewrite everything. So does Peter Parker have a birth certificate? Did his parents die? What? No.
I'm really
no one can see
happy
me
that
losing
we've
my
gotten
mind
to this point already, because I was concerned that we were going to start this and there was going to be a lot of answers from super Spider fans that were like, no, it all works because of this comic explains in the past. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what we need to know. But, well, that's better. I think a lot of the Doctor Strange stuff about him being slightly overzealous is maybe addressed in Multiverse of Madness a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you could also pull some threads from the first Doctor Strange too.
Yeah, I mean, the all that's old is new again, right? Like, you can keep telling the same stories about characters because it's 6 years in between their individual films as they bounce around the MCU franchises. You don't need to change it up that much. No. Character flaws I mean, Iron Man died with all of his character flaws from the first movie.
Yeah,
mostly intact. You know.
Yeah, most of them.
Spoilers, I guess. So, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I already spoiled it too with the whole Iron Man, rosary thing. So that was there too. But thanks for sticking with We Were Gamers. Find us at Instagram at We Were Gamers. Find us on social media and.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about Spider-Man going forward being, I think the next one is another Into the Spider-Verse sequel? Is that the next time we'll see Spider-Man?
It is.
That's the next time it's Into the Spider-Verse. I'm sorry, Spider-Man. Is it? Wait, is it? What's the? I know it's just a different version of. It's not Into the Spider-Verse, but it's
Spider-Verse of Madness.
Well, now I'm going to look it up because I'm doing the comic banter thing, not the.
Oh, you're doing a comic banter on us, not a We Were Gamers?
Yeah.
We were supposed to make up funny names, man.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Hey, good that's timing. Not funny.
But yeah, Across the Spider-Verse, which
is better.
Which I'm looking forward to, and it's. I mean, for those who watch the end credits at the end of the last movie for Into the Spider-Verse,
we have spoil it. That movie's 6, 7, 8 years old. Well, no, it's
I'm just giving them a heads up that they can see this. It's Oscar Isaac's is Spider-Man 2099. That seems fun.
Yes. Give me Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, and bring back.
Although
we had before.
He can't know that Peter Parker's Spider-Man because then he would have to meet Moon Knight, and then they would. It's too much. Yeah.
No spoilers for Moon Knight. Okay.
Oh yeah. Good point. That's just, That's a good joke because people that have seen Moon Knight will know why. Okay. Damn it, Michael.
Sorry. I've not seen all the wrong things.
No, it's fine.
But have you seen all the right stuff? Or no,
The
it's
Right
a different
Stuff.
movie. Yeah.
All
the right moves. All the. Damn it.
I don't know.
Anyways.
Okay. Well, I mean, this opens the door for the MCU to forget Spider-Man. It also opened the door for Multiverse of Madness, right? It introduced the fact that there's other options out there. Two questions going forward. We could branch into different multiverses here, right? Like since what's his name's not in charge of keeping the branches in line anymore, right? Like that's the Loki
He
thing.
Who Remains. Yeah, He Who Remains is no longer minding the shop, so branches are growing in every direction but loose. So yeah.
So eventually there's going to be someone that comes along to end the multiverse because that's what happened last time, right? That's what they were trying to.
That's what he was holding in check.
Yeah. He's pruning essentially all the other lines that would lead to less benevolent Kangs, I guess best way to put it. And it's one of those things too. It's like, because we do know that we've got he was cast in some other films moving forward. We know there's going to see more of him. And so it's like, that's something where you're just kind of, each time we step forward, like, okay, is this where we get a little more of this? Is this going to go this way? Yeah. I mean, do we want to leave behind, Far From or No Way Home? Was there any?
Well, that was the other branch. So one branch is discussing how it all fits in without hitting too much of Multiverse of Madness, I guess. How it all fits in going forward, starting here, but also how you felt about all the Peter Parkers together, and where and what you expect to see live action wise. Now that they've put them all back on the same screen, does Andrew Garfield get another shot at it again? I don't think Toby has any interest in doing that. He clearly was tired by the end of his time in this film. He got stabbed. It's, it makes
That'll do
anybody
that to you.
Yeah.
I've got thoughts. Michael, did you want to take a jump at it first, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I doubt that they would try and pull somebody else into the role. Just at this point, I don't feel like they're that desperate to shoehorn Spider-Man back into their plans that they would pull somebody else in.
Plus, they've got Miles Morales.
Yeah, also that.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious because, like, how does the rights work issue of it? How does the rights work for animated versus live action? Because we know that they did Amazing Spider-Man because they essentially contractually had to, otherwise the clock started to run down, right? And so,
right.
Do they have to do a live action, or is the animated stuff keeping that contractual obligation open? Like, does that extend their timeline? And if so, then that's kind of the idea for now, because I can't imagine. Well, Amy Pascal seems smart enough to be like, no, that they need to maintain some level of connectivity between them, I guess, even if it's going to be Kraven and then maybe that the Silver Sable Black Cat movie, and then if we get there, Madam Web and all these other potential movies that they've discussed. Like, I don't know what they need to do there.
That was my symbol for you're forgetting about Venom 3, buddy.
Did they greenlight Venom 3?
Oh, I'm almost certain.
Okay. Which, I mean, that's certainly possible, but is that considered fulfilling that obligation just because it's a Spider-Man universe film that they're able to do that? Which it does. Then they're a lot safer that way, because then they don't have to risk upsetting people with a new Peter Parker or Miles. And I think doing a live action Miles definitely could be a hurdle for them. I think that they could.
Not only do we get Venom 3, you've got Kraven the Hunter just beforehand, right? Probably coming next year.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. Andy Serkis.
Oh, and of course Morbius. What am I thinking? Morbid Time, number 2. What was?
Andy Serkis is coming back to direct Venom 3.
Oh, Andy, there's better paychecks out there. Like they're doing a Lord of the Rings show. Just go back home. Just. Oh man.
I'm so excited.
Oh man, that is.
Yeah. I think that your deliriousness over Venom, in its current incarnation, you should go back and watch Toby 3, man. It could be worse.
Okay, saying it could be worse. Like that's fine. Like I've already voted for Biden. I picked the lesser of two evils already. Okay, I don't need to have that every day of my life. I get it. Like I'm definitely like I get it. Just let me have something. I think that the Venom character is pretty intrinsically tied to Spider-Man, and just to be like, we don't need that crap. We'll just make our own Venom, and then he's gonna see some Spider-Man on TV. It's like I like that symbol, whoosh, and now he's got a spider because he's like, I'm Venom. I don't know.
You gotta give Venom 2 a try. If this is your attitude about it, you're gonna love Carnage.
If it popped up and made itself more available like Morbius did, I would. Like if it's on Netflix, I fold clothes like anybody else, so I might as well watch something while I'm doing it. Like it's fine. I've got things that I watch while I do other things. So
I know that for you, especially in the comics, and I guess this is still on the Spider-Man topic, but for you, especially in the comics, it is intrinsically tied that the symbiote found Peter first, and then Eddie Brock, and then all this other stuff. But just comparing Eddie Brock's together and having an Eddie Brock that doesn't have to worry about Peter Parker is actually kind of not that bad. When it makes him a much more sympathetic person to not be intrinsically in the shadow of Peter Parker. He's more interesting.
But he's always just like, shucks, I don't know why Michelle Williams won't love me. I don't know. I'm just this level guy with a symbiote. I don't know. Like, just
it's true. Oh, it's true. That is him. Yeah, but you should go watch Spider-Man 3 again and try and decide which version's better.
I remember, dude, we sat in a room, or we stood and sat in a room with the cast from Spider-Man 3.
I remember
and,
vividly.
Like, if only we could have averted.
If I'd known then that I should have stepped on his foot.
Oh my goodness!
Like that's acting. Do that.
Oh man, I will watch Venom 2 at some point once it becomes more easily available. Like seriously, the best thing that they did was just put it on Netflix for Morbius, because like people can watch it and it's Morbin time. Like we don't need to release it to theaters a second time,
third time,
which was what they're
actually fourth time. They're releasing it to IMAX.
Morbius to what now?
No, wait, I'm thinking of something else. But they're thinking about releasing it a third time. They're doing Rogue One in IMAX.
I mean, Andy's got tickets. He's like, I'm watching Rogue One, and I'm gonna go watch Andor the first episode. Let's do this.
They're doing it for the same weekend. Andor is doing a 3-episode drop.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know it was gonna be 3. That's good, but it's also like it. Like I feel like I was teased. Right, exactly. I'm like, yeah. Oh. Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Wait another week.
3 hours all at once, I'm not going to be able to do. So a three episode drop for me is kind of it was cool for like from 2007 to 2014. Full season drops were pretty cool. And now it's like, just once a week is good because I can't keep up. You know?
I like having a mix. Like I'm like, okay, cool. This show drops all at once. I can get through, and not in one sitting, but I can get through Cobra Kai in a week. That's cool.
Yeah, they're also a half hour.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
I mean, but then Cobra Kai is like a really long movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then there's some shows too. Like, oh, that was tough. I need some time. Like if something like deep happens, like, oh, I gotta let that ponder for a bit. And then also then I gotta talk to my friends. Like I still enjoy the water cooler nature of shows of like. getting to catch up with someone and during that week, like, oh, we all watched it, at some point on Thursday, and then next Monday we get together and we talk about it and we're like, oh, I love this part and I love that. So it's like I like both. I like a mix. Like it doesn't have to be all one or the other.
I think there's also the We Were Gamers endorsed idea, and I might be wrong, but to speak for JJ, but it's okay to like unsubscribe from a service for a little while and then come back once a show or two has finished and just be like, all right, not everyone's talking about Stranger Things, like, or a show that isn't a Stranger Things where you don't feel like you have to keep up. If you feel that way, some people don't feel that way. Some people do feel that way. Whatever you feel like is fine. But, if you don't want to watch all of Strange New Worlds one at a time, you could do Paramount, at the end of it. And that's fine too, because it's just 1 hour shows, man. Just 1 hour shows. We're getting off topic here. The multiverse going forward is going to be a situation. Unless you,
I was gonna say I really enjoyed seeing all three Spider-Man together. I wanted to just get to the end of the branch for the previous one. Yeah. I enjoyed seeing them all together. I enjoyed seeing the way they play together and see the different performances and ages of the Peter Parkers. I especially enjoyed seeing MJ's interactions with other characters and also Ned's, like the way they play together. I thought that was all good because it also plays with certain tropes of like, with them telling like, yeah, my best friend betrayed me and became a villain. Mine too. It's like, I was also like, do you don't want to say his name? Like, do you have an embargo on the name for some reason? And
that was really weird. They did that multiple times. I don't know if you caught this, Michael, but the relationships thing, they're talking while they're trying to like come up with all the cures and stuff.
Yeah. The sciencing scene.
Was it strange to you as it was to maybe me? And I don't know but was it strange to you, Michael, when they were talking about the relationships and how they described them with their like significant others?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't strange. They I guess they just seemed a little guarded still.
Okay.
In the way that they were.
I definitely felt like it was we can't get too deep into this kind of answers, or it was like, it sounds like maybe Tobey's Spider-Man was married to MJ, but all he said was it's complicated.
Yeah, he dances around giving a real answer to how that's going.
Which I would have in the after credit scenes, I was really hoping for a scene where he goes back to the portal and Kirsten Dunst is there and they have a kid and they do the Mayday Parker. They do the Mayday Parker kind of like, oh, he has a daughter, and that's the the M2 timeline where they're gonna he has a kid, and maybe Peter goes back, or Amazing Peter goes back and does something else. Yeah,
Peter 3,
he's Peter 3.
Peter 3, yeah,
Peter 3,
yeah. And so Peter 3 goes through, and the weird thing is because there is cut content from the second Amazing Spider-Man. There was stuff that was cut, and like it's interesting because they discussed like, oh, I didn't have an MJ in Amazing, but he had someone else that he loved. But there was an MJ in Amazing Spider-Man 2 that they cut out completely just for story purposes, just because they had too many story threads in that movie. And so it's like, I'm curious, like there's potential there. I would love, we discussed a little bit, like, could they go back to an Amazing Spider-Man? I think they could. I think that the fans showed that they really loved his performance in this. And despite having the less than phenomenal showing of his movies, the fans still really enjoyed his performance, and it could be something that they could build on or at least maybe put a button on, but they kind of did it in this movie too. So, just kind of like bookend it at least. I don't know.
It felt like when you saw all three of them up there that they were all bookended, because I was trying to describe to JJ, but he hadn't seen it, and Michael also hasn't seen it. The exact replica of Gwen's fall when MJ falls.
Yeah.
And so, and Toby gets a bookend of he can't save Harry Osborn from himself, even though he gets to try again,
Yeah. And it's kind of the Harry versus his dad. Like that's kind of what's there is him not letting Peter give into the anger. He helps Harry in that way, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you hadn't seen Amazing Spider-Man, I don't think it hits as hard, but I still think that for Michael and JJ, they probably got a good idea. They understood the context of it. So they know
I think that's what you said, Michael, right? Like you got what I was getting at.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week, and that even though I hadn't seen the movies, I could tell from the way they shot that they were recreating a scene from the Andrew Garfield movies.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
And it's really like it hit really hard for me, and I thought it was a really good like performance of just like where she's like, "Are you okay?" and he's like,
"Nope."
Like, yeah.
Yes, but no.
I'm shook.
And that's what I was trying to get at earlier when I was saying, you know, he really puts across a lot of acting chops that I think they all progressively got better as movies have, you know, progressed in the comic book world of saying like, you know, you could put actors in these things that are like good actors. And Tom Holland's good. You
don't have to dumb it down or
Yeah, Tom Holland's good, and like you can give the characters more than a comic book gives them because there's more than a stencil line, you know, and a word balloon, and they can have emotional range. And that was nice to see replicated again. It was cool. I feel like it was a movie I would want to watch again. Like Far From Home, despite its silly premises for the bad guy, which, I mean, I guess it's better than him trying to do hand magic or whatever else Mysterio has tried to do in the comics.
But we have such a good history of people trying to do like hand magic and like it's a good through line, like, and we've all seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, so we all know that like you're either facing, there's no such thing as wizards, we either fighting aliens, we're fighting this or this. It's like there's no such thing as wizards. What about Gandalf? Like that's, so it's like having that I enjoy the Scott Lang and Jimmy Woo, like the sleight of hand magic. That's fun to me. Like it's a goofy little like character narrative.
It was fascinating to watch Mysterio be like, okay, well, where's the magic thing portion of this? And it was like, no, it's all tech magic. It was like, oh, okay, I guess it had to be because he worked for Iron Man. But like, I think that movie would have actually been really good if they were in Prague and he was just like throwing sparks out of his hands because he's doing pretend magic, you know. That I think is a movie that you would watch again, right? Like that one has a lot of, you know, when Ned and MJ are talking, it's like, well, I knew first, you know. Those little funny, quirky things are a lot deeper in that movie, I think, than I don't know. It's just because No Way Home was so heavy with killing off main characters and just being like, this is the end of the world for Peter Parker.
Yeah, and that's kind of where like it sucks because it just gets mired down in the like, well, we've got to, this is our swan song for Spider-Man in the MCU for now. So
I couldn't believe,
wrap it up, folks. Like that's
I
need Ned at the I need Ned at the school for wizards with Doctor Strange. Like that's where I need Ned because he's got that power. But of course now they can't. Like that's,
well, how do you remember, right? Like they don't remember the fight on the tower. They just are like, we were fighting with Spider-Man on the tower, and now
I got hurt. I have a scar thing from
now
something.
We're gonna go to MIT and without what?
It's so janky. It's so janky.
Real janky. But
I have to not ask questions, but I still am bothered by it. Like,
I have a question going forward. Is Miles Morales the only Spider-Man that will have a nice apartment?
I mean, so
just because at the end, Tom Holland opens the door to his new apartment, you're like, well, this is just as bad as Peter's. All the other Peter's
the problem with well, the first Peter Parker in Into the Spider-Verse he was married and he was still with MJ, so like they had things working out, and that was good. So he maybe had a good house. But as far as like, also Miles is kind of in the spot of like he's the young Peter Parker where it's like he has to stay in high school, so it's like he has a cool dorm that he has with his friend Ned, or in his world it's Genki, so there's that. But yeah, it's like he continues to live the high school life, so that's unless we see some kind of future version or alternate version where he's the criminal one and he's like, oh yeah, I'm living the high life, like. That's the other side of that. I don't know.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
The criminal one. Oh, boy. Okay, so it just all leads to Kang, basically, right? We do like 4 more multiverse movies and then Kang shows up?
I don't know about 4. I know we've it's in the title for Doctor Strange. It's a multiverse there. We've talked that we're supposed to have Kang in Quantum Mania, just due to casting. And there is at least one more at the end of Phase 6, the Kang Dynasty. So there's 3 more. I'm sure there's probably one in there. And in the 6th phase timeline, they have unnamed projects, just things there, because they learn from their mistakes and don't give exact dates because they're smarter than that now. Like, you'll get something in the summer.
Yeah.
Smart. Well, you heard it here. Spider-Man No Way Home doesn't work. It never will work. Don't try to make it work. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, it doesn't work in terms of like, if you think about it, in terms of does it work as fun? It absolutely works. It was a ton of fun. Enjoy yourself. Go and turn your brain off and enjoy the heck out of it.
So Ken, I'll ask you this. I haven't read many Spider-Man comics, but I do know one piece of lore. I'm curious to know if you think that they'll bring this in. And Andy, I don't know if this was the joke you alluded to in She-Hulk. Do you think that Hulk will remember who he is even if Banner forgets?
Oh, okay. So,
That was not the joke.
Okay.
Actually, well, so here's the tough part. Do you want moderate?
It kind of is the joke. It kind of is the joke. You're right. Yeah. It's related to the joke. It's not the joke.
Right. So, as you know, and you've seen some of the trailers for She-Hulk, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So you know that she breaks the 4th wall.
Yeah.
As like in the old John Byrne comics, I have one here. We can look at like she breaks the 4th wall. There are moments even in the trailer where you see that Smart Hulk notices that. Like he notices the 4th wall break while other characters don't. So because there are weird, like little subtle powers the Hulk has, like the Hulk can see the astral plane, which is not something I knew, but the Hulk can see the astral plane.
Okay.
Is that because of what happened with what's her name when he got astral projected out of his body?
No, I'm talking about in the comics.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It's something I didn't know until later on, until a friend of mine, Dixon, he was like, oh yeah, there's a Doctor Strange story where he can see Doctor Strange and he can see him on the astral plane.
What?
And I'm like, that's weird. But is it just because his gamma eyes are so strong he can see the whole
gamma beam you?
But so there is that. So there is that where like so he can always find his way back to New Mexico at the site of where the gamma bomb was. So he has these little tangential powers.
I also don't think it's a spoiler that they allude to the fact that there probably are multiple Hulks lurking around in Bruce Banner.
Oh. Well, I mean, for what he's seen and what for the most part, he speaks to say that it's no longer that there's a Hulk side and there's a Bruce side. He brought them together. Like he brought the best of both worlds. And I think this is Endgame that we get this discussion. Yeah. So it's like, for the most part in the MCU, there is just Hulk. He is the one and the same now. Yeah. At least for our purposes. But
he's talking.
It would be.
It's too. Right. He's too far into it and about. What?
No. But it's a hilarious question though, because it's like it's a head scratcher. You're like, oh, could they do they could do that? The only problem is is more on the side of like, well, technically it's a Sony property, so we can't really we can mention things, but we can't go too far down that branch because legally we don't have the rights to him anymore. Like that's where the harder part of it is, I think. But I love the question, and I'm like, oh man, like the potential for comedy is there, but I'm like, could they ever go and pluck that fruit? I don't know.
Man,
it's
you
a
need
great
to watch
question.
She-Hulk because I think there's a little more. There's some discussion he has with his cousin about Hulkisms and being a Hulk and what type of Hulks and
And it's such a great question. I think the listeners should definitely write into us at podcast@WeWereGamers and let us know what you think. What are your takes on this? We want to know. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, write in the comments. Get in the comments. Type
get
away.
in the comments. Write the comics. The comics. And that's it. Just say the comics and we'll know.
Yeah.
We'll know to make Ken go read more comics.
I mean, it's certainly possible. There's more to read. So
always. Unfortunately, always.
Yeah.
Is this where I insert jokes about you don't have to read Rob Liefeld comics? I don't.
I mean, I don't want to give. Well, here's the question.
But
I mean, the harder question is: do you still need to buy Skybound comics because they've pushed you out? That's a karate scoring. That's karate scoring. We'll get to that on karate scoring. No, that was a Deadpool joke. That movie was okay.
I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I have. I saw 1 and 2. They're fine. They're fun. Like I can enjoy them, but it still is that kind of like I can enjoy them and then like step away and because I know that the fan base is just like, oh my god, I can't believe they made Deadpool bisexual. That's so wrong. He's not like that. I'm like, dude, like he's a fictional character. He can be whatever he pleases. Like if that's what you're gonna get hung up on and not the fact that the dude's being shot 130 times and lives, like maybe choose another character. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, Michael, Black Ariel, huh?
Yep. Yep. I'm sure that's going to be the next one that people are crying about on the internet.
It already is the next one people are crying about, buddy. Don't worry about the fact that she's half fish. Let's compare skin tones of the original Ariel.
I mean, everyone's aware that she's singing clearly underwater too. Like that alone should be like, I can't. That's not how. No. Okay.
But that's shit. Also, where's the reverb that the Aquaman movie told me everyone who speaks underwater should have?
There you go. I mean, I'd have to watch the Aquaman movie. I saw 3 women singing to him on the shores of some island, and I'm like, nope, I'm not watching Aquaman. I can't.
So I did that.
You sang on the shores to Aquaman?
Yeah, I did that, and you can do that too if you go to Scandinavia, and it's quite entertaining and better than the movie.
Yeah, fair enough. Now I'm like, wait, can I just go to Scandinavia and sing to Jason Momoa? It's like, oh,
the most Scandinavian man you can find in a fishing village. Can't pick him out. You couldn't possibly be from a different part of the planet. How do you know I'm not Scandinavian? How could Batman possibly find me in this Scandinavian village? Well, we've lost it here. That's the end of a podcast.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to some of the next Spider-Man media stuff. Into this Across the Spider-Verse looks to be a lot of fun. Parts 1 and 2, and I think Craven. I will watch if they go to Netflix as soon as it does. Then sure, I might watch it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here. Watch No Way Home. Try not to make it make sense.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. What should Michael watch next? Probably Multiverse of Madness. Probably.
I think that's next on the list for us. We're still trying to catch up.
Yeah. I don't think Miss Marvel's higher priority than that. Or Moon Knight.
I think they're all different vibes. I think I recommend watching them all because I think that they are all fun, different stories.
Oh yeah, they're all on the list.
Moon Knight was good.
Yeah.
I can't speak to Miss Marvel, so.
Yeah. And then you're in line to get to She-Hulk. Is that correct? After that?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think they have a thread through them yet. So you're okay. Like if you watch them out of order. But yeah.
Oh. Did you know? Michael?
Yes.
You watched No Way Home.
Yep.
Did you know who his lawyer was?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I did. That was a fun reveal for me because I have no spoiler situation.
That's awesome. That's the thing too. Like that's like trying to get to stuff before it gets ruined. Like there was already rumors and stuff like that, and it's like there's so much stuff. Like there was casting news. Obviously, D23 hit us with some casting news for other shows, and I'm just like, I know that, and I can't not know that. So I know now. I'm just like waiting for this part of this episode of this show to show up, and then I see it. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll just experience it as it comes. And it was still a really good moment. And I really enjoyed it. You guys had both watched Daredevil prior to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least the first season?
Yeah, I'd seen a couple of episodes.
Oh.
And you'd seen Hawkeye?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We're all good there. Now it's the question of if we need to go back and rewatch it. I've seen all of it and all of Punisher. But if they're going to start dragging the pieces back together, I don't know if we got to go backwards.
I think that you could probably, they'll do their best to try and like story just kind of paste everything together for you in those first couple episodes. I think that they're still worth a watch because they're still good shows.
Yeah.
For the most part, minus Iron Fist, they're all like definitely good for each of their different vibes that they're bringing you. Like,
yeah. I'm guessing Daredevil's the only one really for a while. I'm really not seeing much room for the rest of them to cross in.
Yeah, the problem is I know that like, well,
Okay,
actually,
never mind. Nope, we're not going any further.
No, just I think that the God, his name, the actor for Luke Cage, he's on another show, so he doesn't like it's kind of like not in another Marvel show. He's on his own show on another channel. So it's like it's one of these where it's like when you had. Lady Sif was like she was doing a different show. It's like, oh, she didn't show up for Thor 2. It's like that type of like knowledge. Like, oh, well, you know what? Mike Coulter. Mike Coulter's on another show, so it's like his availability to be Luke Cage is more limited if that was the option. So those are the type of things that I kind of keep in my head.
I think at this point, if Disney calls, you just say yes, right?
Not if you're John Boyega or I mean, he's pretty much been like boo on the Star Wars stuff, which I understand, but I'm also like, if they called, I'd still be like, are you gonna do it right this time? Like, give me a lightsaber. Like, let's do this. Like,
I'm just saying for these older Marvel actors that have been out of the franchises for a while, I think I want to make another Hulk joke, but I can't do.
All I want to see is them do a Chris Evans running into Chris Evans and
running into Chris Evans,
Johnny Storm and Captain America having the Spider-Man meme moment.
Yeah, that was a good thing moment we had in No Way Home. And it's like I keep waiting for potential and like, come on, let's
you should watch Multiverse of Madness next.
Will do.
Is it on Disney Plus? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And Thor: Love and Thunder as well.
Tonight. I mean that should probably be before any of the other Marvel shows, just because it's a done in one. I think.
Yeah, and I think it will be.
It has been referenced also in She-Hulk.
Okay. Vaguely. Well, there's no need to No, he hasn't watched it, so there's no need to go further. So we're good.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there any other Spider-Man questions we had while we had the time?
The expert? No, not this.
An aficionado, maybe not. You know.
Okay, let's count the Spider-Man objects behind you. 1, 2.
I'm a Jedi Knight. I'm not a Jedi Master. I'm not on the council.
Well,
or I'm on the council and they didn't allow me the rank of Master. It's really messed up. I don't know.
That's the real question. Don't worry, we
actually
give you a black suit.
That's a different podcast.
There you go.
Yep. That podcast will soon be consumed with karate.
Mm-hmm.
His face tells me
Fun
yes,
stuff.
I should go watch it right now. Do I need to go through a recap? Because it's been 4 seasons of Insanity, and I don't remember everything.
They do. I mean, they have their recap like they do at the very beginning of a season. Just watch that one,
All right.
and then you'll be refreshed.
I don't remember who's in prison.
They'll give you
a lot of people are in prison at this point. Oh, for a bunch of high schoolers, they do a lot of damage, but that's true of Spider-Man as well. So full circle.
Is there anything at D23 that you really enjoyed, Michael?
Oh, what was good? We were just there for one day. We mostly just wandered the floor, saw the booths. We got into one panel. We went to the panel on the 90th anniversary of Goofy.
Oh, okay. Bill Farmer there?
Yes, Bill Farmer was there.
That's awesome.
He was like the main guest, and they brought in
Jason Marsden?
They brought in one of the animators, and then one of the project managers for the they did a series of 3 shorts during the pandemic. How to stay at home, I think it was. Yeah. They're all on Disney Plus, but they showed them. They showed all 3 of them back to back, and then they showed them again and let everybody on the panel do basically an MST3K style commentary through it. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. My cousins or my cousins-in-law, I'm not sure about the specifics. They were there for all 3 days, and I found out like really interesting things about the convention. Like one, the way they did the panels this year was a lottery to get into them, because they clear the rooms in between. And part of the thing of them cleaning the room is to get the comic. If you went to the Marvel panel, the Marvel Comics panel, that's the one I would have wanted, was the Humberto Ramos comics. Mm-hmm. You have to lead, like you get the comics on the way out, and also like the pins, the poster. That's a really interesting way. Like as a person coming from Long Beach Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, and other ones, clearing the rooms in between definitely is an interesting thing. But it's also like it allows other people to get a chance to come in. But also like because you're lotteried in, you have like, oh well, I have my ticket, I can go to that panel, and then there's still a standby line so people don't show. It seems interesting. I don't know how it would work out for other fandoms, but I heard about that. I'm like, that seems like it's such a good potential, but also like, does that work with other fandoms? Like, will they be as respectful? I don't know.
Yeah, to go along with that, they eliminated overnight camping this year.
Yeah, and that's part of that raffle ticket thing.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up. Get people off the street. They don't need to be sleeping there.
That's fair. I mean,
it's a convention. It just became crazy to me that like it went from a little bit of Hall H craziness to the fact that along the entire wharf in San Diego, you have people literally just camping to go to see people talk for 5 days. It's not healthy or smart. I mean, it's just not the right avenue.
I don't disagree, but it's also like if you're 20 and you want to sleep outside for a panel, like we've all done dumb but not harmless stuff, and that's dumb, and it can be dumb and harmless for someone in that range. But if you're 85, you probably shouldn't be sleeping outside. We'll try to get, but I see the pro and con for both sides. I do really think that a lottery fact would work well, but then also like how much abuse do you get because of the fans can be far more abusive within the greater San Diego Comic-Con fandom as opposed to D23, which I think is more, they're not as toxic. There's less toxicity, but it's also maybe a smaller fan base that goes. I don't know what the numbers are for D23.
Yeah, it's definitely smaller. It's more on the scale of like a WonderCon.
Yeah. Well, and also too, like, because there's different tiers to how you get in. Like there's a sorcerer tier, and then there's like a gold tier, and how you gain access. Like it's definitely like price gated and everything, but it's like how does that allow? And I don't know. And all the giveaways are done on site as opposed to like, oh, you have to go to the redemption room to go pick up your swag stuff. Yep. I don't know. I'd be curious, but it's also like I don't know if I have the wherewithal to fork over X amount of money to be like, okay, cool, here's your ticket price, and then you also have to do everything else. I don't know. But it's fun for a day though, sounds like.
Yeah.
Or 3 days for our cousins.
Yeah, we had a good time.
cool. I didn't know if there's anything you saw that was like, oh yeah, we really that. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'd be curious to see what Comic-Con comes up with in the following years. I mean, they're always experimenting, and I think more conventions trying different things is a good idea. I get what you're saying about, okay, it's okay to sleep outside or to do silly things for your fandom. And the lottery things, I mean, the lottery thing is unfair to some people, right? I'm a really big fan and somebody's not a really big fan, and they won the lottery and I didn't, right? Yeah. But I was willing to do more, but I wasn't allowed to. You know, I get it, but like a system with more efficiency at the scale that they are operating seems like it would be better. For 1984, if you had to wait around a little bit to see Stan Lee in a line, is not the same as getting heat stroke 3 days in a row outside the San Diego Convention Center to maybe see William Shatner crap all over your fandom
from so far away, and so you're just watching him on a TV screen, which at that point, why are you? I went into Hall H for the first time in a long time this year to catch the Kevin Smith panel after mine, and that was a lot of fun because like, oh, I can just kind of walk in now because it's after the Marvel panel, everything is done. Like and just got to walk in. I'm like, oh, I still enjoy seeing that stuff, but also like if I didn't, I could also just catch it on his podcast 3 days later and been fine.
Yeah, and that's the egalitarianism of technology, maybe. You know, the real egalitarianism, not the electric car maker kind. We'll talk about going to Mars another time. If you have thoughts on giant rockets, you could email us at where, Michael?
Podcast@weweregamers.com.
They're very inefficient, giant rockets. Space elevators are the way.
But also like some of them were just like, what about this logic? I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work, but just there's no good answer to it.
I think that's the answer, is that it doesn't work.
That's
right?
Yeah.
Turn your brain off. Silly hats only.
Yeah.
There was the hope and the desire to find out, like, well, because of this comic, this is what they were talking about. Instead, it's no, they just made stuff up because they had a contractual obligation. You know, it's like, oh, that's disappointing, but at least it's an answer I can understand.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, it's like as much as you can go through and compare, like, oh, this is why it happened and it's very similar to this in the comics. It actually does. That's cool that you're referencing it, but even in the comics, you kind of get a little bit of hand waviness of just like, I don't think about this, because in the comics, it's like it's two spells. It's Doctor Strange's spell and then Mephisto's spell. One to save Aunt May and then one to wipe everyone's memories. So it doesn't work on either page. So it's like it doesn't, like, it's such a just kind of like, we got to do this to get to the next movie. And I'm like, all right, fine, we're good. I had fun.
Yeah.
I finished my popcorn. I finished my drink.
Sometimes you just got to
matters
tile.
at the end of the day.
You know, sometimes you need a little 30 minutes at the end of the Two Towers. Is all. You gotta put everything in place for the next one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that's happened to me a bunch of times, and I haven't yet to lose a fight because of it. But it is very, very annoying when you actually sometimes. What happens to me is that I think that I have hit switch on a character, and then I've forgotten to tell the action, and so
and it defaults back to the character who's still in the front row.
Yeah, then I hit attack, and then it's all bad.
Yep. Yeah, this fight for me was an instant wipe.
Oh.
It's the kind of thing where you have to the character puts up a magic counter, and so you have to carefully time the one magic attack in the set of breakers to be after either the last hit or after he's broken, and without the boosts, womp womp.
Oh.
And he just like 3 hitting nukes your entire front row.
I've definitely had fights where like I have to break the guy now because next turn he's going to do a major attack
Uh-huh.
But I haven't had like, oh, I have to time it inside of the break. That's new. I've been doing some of the traveler stories since we're waiting. We could just chat COTC for a minute.
Yeah.
Because it's basically my life along with watching new shows. The traveler stories are interesting and weird because the 5-star traveler stories are really long.
Mm-hmm.
And like the 4-star traveler stories are just like, run here, win that fight, run there, win that fight. And there's no challenge because they're like level 10. Most of them.
Yeah.
Just weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, and they certain ones of them get real repetitive. Like there are a couple of tropes,
I get
and they
very
hit it
sleepy
in like
sometimes.
6. They hit it in like 6 to 8 different traveler stories, all the same skeleton of a plot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like Menos was very good. The like pirates stealing stuff was cool.
Yes. Yeah, it's weird too because they put some of them are very interesting and like clearly engaging, and then they go back to the same old shtick again for some of them. It's just like, tap through this.
Yeah. They're also not voiced like the rest of the game is. I mean, they have some voice acting in them, but they're not really that voiced unless they're the 5-star ones. So you just tap through as fast as you can.